Here we go. So this is what you need for your little wrought iron table. So whatever wood you're wanting to use, this is balsa wood. Whatever colors you would like the mosaic to be. I'm going to use two different colors of blue, and that's all, but obviously you can have whatever combination you want. And then make sure that you've got a piece of white cardstock, okay? This could just be paper, perhaps, but the best case scenario is all of this is cardstock. So you'll want some black paint, some super glue, something to mark on this floral wire. And I chose floral wire for this because I was having the hardest time adhering wire to wire. And since floral wire has a like a paper coating on it, this glued just fine with the super glue from the dollar store. No big deal. Now this is the 1 millimeter. I don't know what gauge it is, but it measures 1 millimeter. And I think the dollar store sometimes carries this. Some Mod Podge, that's at the dollar store. You got your tacky glue, and you're gonna want something to cut that wire and bend that wire. Our next step is to cut out 2 circles, one out of your wood and one out of the white cardstock. These are 3 centimeters across. And I suggest with this hobby that you buy a circle template with different size circles on it, because it's so nice to have that perfect circle pattern. And then something I've shown you in another video, but you may or may not have seen before, is how I'm gonna cut this off here to make this a little easier to show you, is how when you go to cut a circle, it's best to move the material more than the exacto, or at the same time, very, very small cuts with your exacto. And as you go around, then you're less likely, if you use your exacto, right, now because of the grain, see I've gone off on that because this is a balsa wood instead of a basswood. And then I've got to go back in and I have to do a lot of sanding and whatnot, which is not the end of the world, right? But it helps if you do it that way. Okay. So then the next step would be to take your wood and go ahead and paint the bottoms and the sides of this black, okay? Once that's all good and dry, then we're going to go ahead and adhere our white, which this is our grout basically for this. Okay, so after those, then we can come back and we can start cutting the little mosaic pieces. We're ready for our next step then. After that, all dries and it's good to go there. We want to make our little pieces of mosaic. So what we do is we take whatever colors. I'm just going to demonstrate on one here. And we want to mark 2 millimeters, okay? And use your pencil or something that isn't gonna to show. This isn't really the time to do your exacto. You don't want it to be bleeding over. So mark 2 millimeters on either side or far away from each other. Now, what we're going to do is we are not going to cut that with our exacto. Instead, we're going to make our lives easier, and we're going to go ahead and bring this ruler to those 2 millimeter marks. Okay, and get it as straight as possible. All right, and what we're going to do, oh, I need to turn this around. I need the millimeters. So we have 2 millimeters going this way. So then just take your exacto and cut little notches here, 2 millimeters apart. Now, if your ruler is like mine, where I have the cork on the back and so it's lifted a little. That kind of helps you, because what you can do is, as you measure over 2 millimeters, then I can actually put the point of, let me scooch this, put the point of my exacto sort of under that. And then it gives me more than just 2 millimeters. It'll go past that 2 millimeter line. And that's fine, because what I'm trying to do here, and I've just moved this again, okay, is I'm trying to make kind of, it'll make little squares. So if I go ahead and I just keep doing notches all the way across at 2 millimeters, and I'm not going to go all the way down here, for one thing, because this is really difficult with my eyesight. But you're gonna go all the way across here and notch that. And then when you have, oh, I didn't count them honestly, but when you have like a little more than you think you're going to need to alternate around here, then you're going to go ahead using that 2 millimeter mark. Okay, both of these marks, you're going to line that up, make that all nice and even, like so. And then you're going to run your exacto across here and cut these. And what you're going to get is your little pieces. Okay, so you'll get a pile of little pieces that are approximately 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. And don't fret if they're not exactly square, or if they're not exactly 2 millimeters, you know, on you know, when you went to go cut them, because, you know, mosaics tend to not be particularly perfect. I've noticed on these little patio tables, but also you can pick and choose, you know, which ones you want to use. Like that's just a perfect square here. This one's a little bit off, but it's not too bad. And you can pick and choose if you make quite a few of these. You know, I just did a little bit of a demonstration, but you're going to go, you know, all the way across your piece of paper. This one is the short end, but like I said, I did not measure it. So do that for your color or colors, whatever you have. Make your little pieces here. Okay, I have a couple little piles here. That's good to go. Now, I want to find the middle of this, and so if this came out right, it should be 3 centimeters. So at 1.5, I'm gonna put a little dot, and then I'm gonna check it going this way. And it's a little off. And I just wanna go around and sort of make sure, I don't wanna make the biggest marks in the world, but that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to use my Mod Podge here, and I'm going to go ahead and take my paintbrush, and I don't want to saturate this all the way because it'll just dry really fast. So I'm just going to kind of get that ready for the middle. And then just decide, you know, what color would you like to have in your middle, and go and pick and choose whichever one you think is the nicest. I like this. What I did is I just used my exacto like this and just gently kind of picked them up this way and adhere them like this. So let's see how well that went in the middle. Let's see if it, not bad. Looks like it's in the middle. Okay, so then what I decided to do is to alternate my colors. And I just want to go around in circles here and do, these are not quite as nice of squares. Look at that. It's not that big of a deal though. But see, like that Mod Podge, that's drying pretty quickly. So don't saturate the top just yet either. Just kind of be patient on that. And these might go past the end as you go around, Just kind of arrange them. And we'll deal with that in a minute. And just do your thing. Make it look the way that you want it to look. Going around like so, and then I decided, you know, oh, okay, this one looks a little bit bigger, so I can pop that off gently, and I can find one that I like a little bit better, and I might need a little bit more Mod Podge. But, I mean, you get the idea. I'm going to go around and around and around. And then I'll show you if you get to the end and these hang off the end, that's okay. Because what we're going to do is we're just going to trim it. All right, so go ahead and put all of those going around. And you don't need to put the top coat on just yet. That's not necessary. If you do, it's not a big deal. But we really will probably need to trim around there. So I don't really want it damp when I do that. Now that we have all of these glued down, you notice that because of the imperfection of the sizes of the mosaic pieces, there's some stuff hanging off here. So I'm just going to, hopefully this is dry enough, I'm just going to press down with my exacto knife, and I can get those to even out all the way around. And so I want to do that. At this point then, when I get those trimmed, but after I get those trimmed, now I can go and I can put a coat of the Mod Podge on top. And you can do, they say to wait a while between coats, but you can do it until you are happy with the results. I had accidentally bought the matte, so you maybe have the shinier one, and that's fine. It would look a little bit more like glass. But at any rate, you can do however many coats that you want. Next step is to go ahead and cut your floral wire. So what you want to do is find a nice, good, strong wire cutter for one thing. And we're going to do two, I'll just pull this forward so that you can kind of see. We're going to do two 4-centimeter lengths, and those will be turned into circles. And then 4 2.9-centimeter lengths, and those will be the legs. Okay, so 2 at 4 centimeters, and then 4 at 2.9. Let's go ahead and bend these into shape. So the two large pieces are going to be circles. It helps to hold the legs in place. So I just want to take my needle nose pliers. It's nice if you have these smaller size needle nose pliers. They're inexpensive ones. These are not nice ones for jewelry. But what we're going to do is just go ahead and that'll need adjustments obviously, but those two will become circles. Then for the bottoms here, I want to just make a little curl kind of thing here at the end. And that's my bottom. And I can keep doing it like so. I can also go like this, and it's pretty strong here. And get a nice little curl on there. And you can even flatten out the end if you want to, because that's kind of how it would be in real life. And go ahead and do each of these and be very careful and do them the same, even if it means that, like say this first one is a little shorter, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that they match, because we want this to be even. We don't want it to be wobbly if we can help it. And this can be even more. I can do like so. So you want to do all of those, and then we're going to get ready for actually gluing these pieces together and gluing on the top. Then what we want to do is put this up at the top here, and we're going to measure down 1 centimeter. And what we're getting ready to do here is, let me see here, measure slightly off. That's not what we want to do. Bring it in. Okay, so I'm going to measure 1 centimeter, and then I'm going to take my pliers again, and I want to bend, put my pliers right there on the edge of my mark, and then just push this top a little bit so that I get a bend about like so. And the reason for that is, see, I'll glue this, that side will be the back because it's the seam, and that slight knee or whatever, it's going to make it look like this circle here is kind of holding these together. And it's a more realistic look to have that little elbow or whatever we want to call that there. So make sure that those also are the same. We'll do the easy glue first, and that is to just try to center this and glue that down. Give it a little crazy glue. This should work just fine. And that's going to help us to attach the legs when we are ready for the legs. So that's our easy part. I may need to hold that down if it's not perfectly flat. But okay, that's the easy. It requires no patience. This, on the other hand, requires some patience. So what I want to do, like I was saying earlier, is I want to glue this at that little elbow, you know, and so this will go kind of like that. The thing is, that does take patience. So first thing I'm going to do is put a little dot to the inside. I also notice that this paper is coming off, so I'm going to seriously, no matter what I do, I just can't help it. I just always glue my fingers when using super glue. You would think I would learn. So I'm going to place this in here, and I'm going to have to hold it. And what can help me with this first one is I can kind of hang it like that, and it'll help me get a feel for it. But I just have to be patient and make sure each of these is glued well. And I just go around, and of course the next one is going to go here, and then equal distance all the way around. So go ahead and do that. When you've had your fill of waiting for that to dry and holding it in place, your next step is just going to be to turn this upside down and to go ahead and glue that. It'll probably glue right on top of the other circle, but you can make it go to the inside of the circle or the outside of the circle, depending upon, you know, how much of a tilt you had on your legs and what you think is going to be the most even look. Because I think one of these is a little shorter. I need to adjust. So it's the constant adjustments to make sure you're not going to be too wobbly when you're finished doing this. And so that is what I'm going to do next. I'll be right back. Once everything is dry, all you have left to do is to paint it black. And if your pieces of paper are kind of coming loose, the paint will kind of stick that back down almost like a glue. You're going to need at least 2 coats or so of this. So I'll show you what mine looks like in a minute, but if you decide to go, please subscribe. So here we go. The top is dry, and I had a few problems with the paper coming up, and I just used my fingers to kind of press it back down again. This paint isn't quite dry, and so I was able to sort of glue it back down by using my fingers, as you can see. So hopefully you enjoyed, and you'll visit again. Take care.